Guy comes rushing at you, and it's his next turn. He doesn't do anything, and then he runs back. He takes a sample of your tooth and takes off. And you're like, well, I guess I'm not gonna fight him. He just, well, after a few samples, he creates this mega monster. So, but not in this particular scenario. Okay, what else? All right, so that's the player turn. Move twice, up to 2, and do an action. Then what happens is what's my turn called the keeper turn. On the keeper turn, you guys that are in the same space, like here, could then trade stuff between yourself. Look, guys, here is ultimately what's going to happen. This guy's going to have 6 different items. He's going to have 1, 0, and 1. It's just the way it is. Because if he's the one that explores and there's a bunch of stuff, he's going to have a bunch of stuff. So ultimately, you might want to get with him to then trade when it's my turn. But you have to be in the same space.
Same space.
Same exact space.
Okay.
Like you'd all have to be here.
Gotcha.
Like, you know what I mean? If you were like here and here, these two could trade and these two could trade amongst themselves, but that's it.
Okay.
You know. So that's what happens there. Incidentally, if you had a status thing, that's where you drop it. Next, I gain threat. The way it works is if there's 4 players, so I get 4 threat tokens. That is how I'm able to buy and do things. I can't just do stuff. I have to pay for them with threat tokens. Okay. And finally, keeper action. Moving monsters, placing monsters, and drawing mythos cards, which that's what allows me to do stuff. And finally, if I'm in the same space as you, I can do an attack. I have nothing that has a ranged attack. You guys have guns that do ranged attacks, but I have nothing that does ranged for the most part. So if I have a monster here, and you're there, I can attack one of you. Okay. And finally, at the end, I put the time token on. That's how we know the progression of the game. I'll tell you right now that there is, let me see, it probably says it better than I can. The investigator's goal is to find all clue exploration cards hidden somewhere on the board. The story at the start of the game and each clue discovery give you hints where the investigator should look in order to find the next clue. So you are trying to find clue cards, okay? Because otherwise you'd just be wandering around not knowing where to go. But after we read the fluff, it'll tell you exactly where to go to start off, okay? I'm trying to think if there's anything. There's stuff that happens with darkness and there's stuff that happens with that, but we'll talk about that later. Finally, we'll talk about the meat and potatoes of what happens when, now what's the point of all these things like willpower, dexterity. What happens is this. If you were being attacked by a guy, he's a humanoid, so let's say I'm here and I'm attacking you. I flip over the cards until it says monster attack, okay? There is no, alright, so this one would say the savage enemy lunges at your face, test dexterity. Who's the old man? You. So you take your dice and you roll, what is your dexterity?
3.
3. So you have to roll, you're old, that's why your dexterity.
Right.
You have to roll 3 or less to succeed. Now, that's what the skill points are. If you spend this skill point, which is discarding it, you get to add 4, which is your luck, to your die.
Okay.
So you will have to roll a 7 or less.
Okay.
If you go ahead and roll it, we'll see what happens. So that's a 10, you would fail. I'll read what it says. It grabs your face and scratches at your eyes. Take 2 damage and you are stunned.
Okay.
Now, if you had passed, I would say, exactly. I know you would only take the 1. That's the beauty of that artifact.
Right.
Pass. You dive at the floor, barely avoiding its attack. No effect.
Okay.
So, but let's say you were attacking me. Well, what happened here is that card would have been discarded. Let's say you didn't have a weapon, which you don't. See how that says ranged weapon? That's not the kind of attack. Ranged, melee. It's not melee. It's no weapon. Okay. So then I would read this. Okay. I'll give you. In a panic frenzy, you attack your enemy with your bare hands. Test strength. So test what is your strength? 4. 4. Okay. So you roll. You failed. It laughs as blood drips down its face. Take 1 horror. All right. So that's what happens there. So eventually, if you run out of health, stamina, the heart, you die. Okay. Good thing is, unless the final clue is revealed, you can pick a new character, and there you go. You get to keep playing. Okay. If you go insane, it's sort of an anticlimactic kind of thing for me. If you go insane, it just means I can play a trauma card on you instead of taking a horror, which does bad stuff. So it's only happened 1 game I've ever played where someone actually went insane. But every time. See how you have like 10, you have 14, 8, and 9. If you fail a horror check, you have to you gain one of these. Okay. That means you're getting kind of freaked out of the mansion or whatever. And what happens is this: every time, you got to think of it like if it were real. Like when this guy walks in, everyone has to take a horror check. Holy shit, this guy just walked in. I'm scared. So everybody has to test their willpower. So one at a time. Like what's your willpower? 6. But also, he is not that. He's not that scary. So if it's 6, you actually have to roll a 7 because it's +1. He's not that scary. Okay, but you still have to do it. And if you fail, you take on one of these. That's all that happens. If you pass, you don't get one. It's simple as that. And once you get to 10 of these, you're insane. Okay. Now, if another monster walks in, everybody has to do it again. It's per room, not per space, per room. Okay. So that's the deal with that. And like I said, we'll walk through a few rounds of this, and it'll be a little bit simple. Do you have any questions or?
I think so right now.
Nothing? Okay. Well, you.